we really want to give back to the community. So, and this is a good way to support everyone involved. So, no, thank you, and yeah. So hopefully the donation will help facilitate the festival, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it comes out of it.
The inaugural Dreamers Camp held at Don Bosco Technological Institute in Port Moresby engaged nearly 500 participants in a transformative journey centered on Salesian youth spiritually. Themed Dream, Live, Love like Don Bosco, the event coincided with the Institute's Silver Jubilee and Don Bosco's bicentenary, aiming to inspire students to emulate the visionary spirit of the saint. Through enlightening talks, team-building activities, and reflective sessions, participants discovered the essence of service, friendship, and personal growth. Testimonials from students highlighted the profound impact of the camp, underscoring its significance in shaping the spiritual, social, and emotional aspects of their lives. The Dreamers Camp emerges as a pivotal platform, nurturing the dreams and aspirations of youth, echoing the legacy of Don Bosco's transformative vision. And turning overseas, 2 climate change activists responsible for causing yesterday's Westgate Bridge traffic nightmare have been sentenced to 3 weeks jail each.
As climate change activists waved flares on the Westgate Bridge stuck in the traffic jam, Roshni Ladd was in labour.
As soon as my water broke, I can feel that my baby is coming out.
My main goal was to get her to the hospital as quick as possible.
Due to the delays, the trip to hospital from their home in Tarneet was going to take double the time.
While we were waiting for the ambulance, her water broke, and then she started was screaming very high. And because the traffic was too bad, we couldn't see anyone who could help us.
Teachers on a nearby school bus came to help.
I think God has sent them to help me for my baby deliver, and she was an angel for me.
I don't think I was quite an angel.
Not being medical professionals, we sort of did the best we could to keep everyone calm.
The action by climate protesters caused massive delays for commuters during peak hour.
The government has zero tolerance, as do Victoria Police, for those who put the community's safety at risk.
I think that the people who stood up yesterday and sounded the alarm on the Westgate Bridge for climate action are courageous.
Last night, 2 of the protesters, Brad Homewood and Violet Coco, pleaded guilty to a range of offences in court. Both were sentenced to 21 days jail. The third, 68-year-old Joe Zammit, didn't enter a plea and was granted bail.
To have a baby in the car is ridiculous. But for us, as sorry as we are, the message is deal with the climate crisis.
In a bid for freedom today, Mr Homewood's application for bail to appeal the sentence was refused. Ms Coco then withdrew her bail application.
Because we're escalating our tactics, we have to accept harsher penalties, but we want to be very clear that we're doing it for the sake of everyone.
Across the road from the Melbourne Magistrates Court, Police's Public Order Response Unit, they have been watching and filming members of Extinction Rebellion. The group has promised further protest action and disruptions in the CBD in the coming weeks.
If they could deal with it peacefully, that would have been better.
Geopolitical experts are warning that the Pacific isn't a priority for the United States and that time is running out for them to be considered a credible partner. These concerns come as the U.S. has failed to provide funds under the Compact of Free Association Agreements with Palau, the Federated States of Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands, as well as funding pledged by President Joe Biden at 2 Pacific Forum summits held in Washington, D.C. Even the New Zealand and Australian ambassadors to the U.S. wrote a joint letter on the 22nd of February 2024 to Senate and House leaders, urging that the timely passage of the COFA Amendments Act was imperative to uphold our mutual interests in a vital region for our 3 countries. A severe shortage of rainfall on King Island has left farmers desperately trying to relocate livestock.
King Island is usually lush and green, but this summer the colour has faded.
The dams are drying out. Well, then the cattle go into the dams looking for water and then they're getting stuck in the mud. So you try and get them out, they're breaking legs.
The island's isolation has added to the pressure.
We're bound by how many the abattoirs can take, so there's a limit on what can actually be taken off the island.
The government has made support payments available to farmers and will try to increase sea transport options.
The resolve of our great island is being tested, but we will show Tasmania and we will show Australia that we passed this test.
Parts of King Island have had the driest February on record, and it's not the only part of Tasmania that had low rainfall, with the southeast also experiencing a long dry period. Grape growers are harvesting a month earlier than normal, and the grain harvest season is finishing early. These are indicators of a changing climate.
We've had a couple of regions this year which have been incredibly dry. They missed their spring break, the rainfall that comes in spring that then triggers the growth of particularly pastures through the landscape, and we've missed that.
As global temperatures rise, Tasmanian farmers will need to rapidly adapt.
There is change coming, so it's not about if, it's about when and how. And so every farming system needs to have a look at what their climate triggers are.
Governments no longer declare droughts, but instead provide targeted support for areas in need. The Farmers and Graziers Association says it's too early to determine if other parts of Tasmania need help during the current dry, but they say building drought resilience will be crucial for the future.
In sports, Chelsea Football Club has responded to the criminal charges facing striker Sam Kerr. The team has thrown its full support behind the Australian soccer star, saying she's been supported through this difficult time.
This is the first time that Chelsea FC, which is Sam Kerr's London-based club, has commented on the allegation that is facing its superstar striker. News of the charge broke earlier this week when the 30-year-old appeared via video link in a London court. The alleged racially aggravated harassment charge relates to an incident with a police officer who was responding to a complaint over a taxi fare. Now, that incident happened in Twickenham more than a year ago in January 2023. The court documents allege that Kerr intended to cause the police officer, PC Lavelle, harassment, alarm or distress using abusive or insulting words or behaviour. Now, that is an allegation that Sam Kerr denies. On Monday in court, she pleaded not guilty to that charge and now faces a 4-day criminal trial in February of next year. Up until now, we've heard nothing from Chelsea FC, nor the sports governing body in England, the Football Association, nor from Sam Kerr's personal manager, Nikki White, or the player herself. But today, Chelsea FC's manager, Emma Hayes, was out speaking ahead of a match against Manchester City and inevitably could not avoid the questions. Let's take a listen.
She has our full support and she knows that, and it's really important I get that across. There's something I really, really value. You know, there's difficult moments, there's tough times, and that's what my role is in this football club, is to make sure I look after our people, and I just, you know, want to be clear that Sam will be fully supported by me and everybody else at Chelsea.
This statement really indicates unwavering support for Sam Kerr ahead of that trial, which is going to be in February of next year, which will mean that one of the world's most famous female footballers will have to give 4 days of evidence in Kingston Crown Court in southwest London. It follows the Matildas coach Tony Gustafsson and also Football Australia throwing their support behind the player, but they made it clear that they were not aware of the allegations nor the charge until news of it broke earlier this week. But with Sam Kerr sidelined due to a knee injury and unlikely to play in the upcoming Paris Olympics, this news of this charge is likely to dominate the player for quite some time.
The NCD Rugby League franchise, NCDC Port Moresby Vipers, has taken a step further in securing Charlie Wabo as coach for the 2024 Digicel ExxonMobil Cup competition. The franchise has now moved into the School Rugby League Development Program, which acts as a nursery to the franchise in supplying talents. This NCD School Rugby League competition is an initiative of Governor Powis Pakop, who aims to promote school and sports at the tender age. The initiative also aligns with the NCDC Vipers New South Wales Rugby League bid, as well as PNG NRL bid. The launch for the 2024 NCDC School Rugby League competition has been moved to next week. PNG Hunters Chief Executive Officer Scott Barker, in his opening remarks at the SP-PNG Hunters season launch, took time to acknowledge and thank Foundation naming rights sponsor SP Brewery and other major supporting partners, the PNG RFL and the Australian Government through DFAT and Australian High Commission for their support and understanding in allowing the games to go ahead in PNG despite recent unrests in the country. The PNG Hunters and Wynnum Manly Seagulls will also pay a moment's silence to honor late QRL director, late Daryl Van de Velde, before the official kick-off in Port Moresby on Saturday. Barker acknowledged the tragic passing of the former QRL director, who passed away on February the 27th. He said he was instrumental in making sure the Hunters remained in the Queensland Cup when their fate was under threat due to the pandemic restrictions.
I'd like to acknowledge a man that most of you never heard of, but a man that has been integral to the Hunters' participation in the Queensland Cup. This week saw the tragic passing of former QRL director Daryl Van de Velde. Daryl was a player, a coach, and administrator of our great game. But most importantly, he was a great advocate for rugby league in PNG. Chairman Sanders touched on a few stories there. Daryl was instrumental when the existence of the Hunters was under threat. He fought tooth and nail to keep us in the competition. He put his own reputation on the line to make sure the Hunters would always be part of the Queensland Cup competition. He was the crucial link, as Chairman mentioned before, in taking the Hunters games outside of Port Moresby. And he often joined the teams travelling to regional areas such as Kokopo and Wabag, as we mentioned. Daryl was not only a great friend of PNG Rugby League, but with so many in the rugby league world, his passion and dedication for our game will be sorely missed. We'll have a formal tribute for Daryl before next weekend's game in honour of his legacy to PNG Rugby League.
And that ends Midday News. More to come at 6. Bye now.
Back in the 80s,